Good morning, Playmakers. Thank you so much for tuning into today's show. I cannot believe the madness that has already happened in college basketball, from top teams going down to two conferences unexpectedly crowning two champions. Conference tournaments start this week, and Maya, Jackson, and Liv will be going over that. And then finally, we have our way too early Final Four predictions. But before we start, as I said, today we have Liv, Maya, and Jackson to break down all things college basketball. But guys, how did Duke manage to lose in Coach K's farewell game?
That was a little sad. Not gonna lie.
No, I'm not upset about it.
Why?
Oh, wow.
I
Hater over here.
I'm notoriously known because they crushed my heart in 2015 as a lifelong Wisconsin Badgers basketball fan. It was a good weekend to be a Badger fan, and then Duke lost, so it was sad to see it how it happened. But what I don't understand, and we can talk about this later, but I don't understand the whole thing of North Carolina didn't honor Coach K. We're upset about this.
What would they have done? Giving him flowers?
It's a rivalry. You're not supposed to like each other.
Right.
But I'm sure. Who said they didn't honor? What if they had conversations behind closed doors,
exactly,
or something?
I think.
No, I agree.
Right.
I mean, they're not.
Yeah,
I mean, they're not going to
you.
come into Duke's arena and give him cookies and flowers and shower him with whatever.
I know, but yeah.
No, but I agree with you. I thought that was.
It's sad because Coach Bill Self of Kansas mentioned on Saturday of the pressure going into that game. And he was like, it might be pressure on Kansas right now to win the Big 12, but really, can you imagine the pressure that's on this Duke team that you're sitting here trying to complete someone's legacy and then you lose. But then for Coach K, it's kind of like, it couldn't have been a better ending for him to lose in Cameron. That was the unexpected.
Oh my gosh.
Right.
But, I mean, did you all see his farewell speech when everybody was crying in the stands? And they're like, Coach K just lost, as if they played the game.
Right.
And then Coach K starts off with saying, shut up.
Sit down.
Right. I don't know what could have been expected, but that.
Well, just
that
think
was
about
funny.
Okay, Bill Self. Whenever he's done, I'm gonna be crying in the stands.
That's true.
And he may say the same thing.
Yeah.
Right.
But think about this. Sorry to end this because this is perfect. Bill Self and any other basketball coach will never take away a senior night. Duke didn't have a senior night if he didn't pay attention to that.
Yeah. That's a good point.
No one would ever do that. That's why I think that's where my hatred comes from. He took away the senior night of these kids. So I mean that's my final note.
He's an angry elf.
That's why he very much is.
Well, despite losing their final game, Duke still was the outright ACC champs, which cannot be said for the Kansas or Baylor teams who share the Big 12 title, and Illinois and Wisconsin who share the Big 10 title. Do you guys think there should be some sort of tiebreaker for the regular season award, or do you think the shared title is just as respectable as outright?
This is a hard one. I've been battling, going back and forth on, would you rather be a co-champion or would you rather be outright? And everyone's going to probably say the obvious answer, outright. But then thinking about it, you're in one of the hardest conferences for men's basketball. If you are able to, at the end of the day, no one's going to remember that y'all are co-champions in 2 years and 3 years.
Exactly.
You have the trophy and it shows the legacy and what the team went through. But I think it hurts a little bit more because it's Baylor and KU. So then we're all sitting here saying, no, we should be outright champions.
And I think you and I went in the press conference after that when Bill Self was saying something, or somebody asked, what if Baylor loses tonight? Will that change anything? Bill Self goes, well, we already got the towel, the T-shirt, and the hat.
Yeah.
So I guess it really doesn't matter. So I don't really have an opinion on it. I mean, you win, and I don't really like sharing, so I probably would rather do outright, but yeah.
I'm very much in the same camp as Liv, and I'm very much of the thought of you play who's on your schedule.
Right.
You play you play the schedule. Whatever happens, happens. If you tie, you tie. You're co-champions in that respect then.
Right.
But I think if there were to be some kind of tiebreaker, like how there is for the tournament, because you have to figure out who's the one seed, who gets the bye. So point differential would be good. Maya and I were talking about this yesterday because Kansas beat Baylor by 20 at the Fieldhouse and they only lost by 10 at Baylor. So therefore, Kansas is the 1 seed and Baylor is the 2 seed, which that makes sense. But there's plenty of other ways you can do it. It's like, especially like growing up in youth sports, everybody had like the fun, unique tiebreakers. But I think that's probably the most respectable way to do it is these two teams tied. What were the scores when these two teams played each other?
Or even like a Zoom rock, paper, scissors tournament.
Flip a coin.
Because it's not like you can add an extra game to the schedule.
Right.
It's the postseason. Then you lose a bye week. You do all these things to risk injuries. You risk maybe a fight, which we've seen right now in the tournaments. Like, just handle it on the court when it comes to Big 12 tournament, which that is what Coach Self said during senior night. He said, I'm good with this championship, but we're going to determine who's the best in the Big 12 this weekend. So I think that's what matters more than just winning regular season. But the trophy was nice, and everyone gets to enjoy it, and that just goes a part of Kansas history.
And it's not like the shared championship or whatever you call it. It's not like they're going to have a banquet together and hold hands and
Exactly.
toast to each other. Like, they're not going to do that. Like, they're in two different states. The boys at the end of the day don't care. They're just happy they won and they can celebrate it in Allen Fieldhouse.
Simple.
Right. I mean, does regular season even matter? Like, not regular season. Does regular season titles even matter? Because you have this tournament. Like, at the end of the day, on the back of a shirt, it's going to be like 2021, 2022 Big 12 champs. And it's going to be KU and Baylor. Like, KU and Baylor are going to make those same shirts.
T-shirts,
You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, is there going to be an asterisk? I don't think so. Like, it's just going to be KU or Baylor is both going to be Big 12 champs. But I think, like Liv said, all that matters is the tournament, because that can declare the outright winner.
Yeah.
So
I would say
matter.
I would say regular season.
That's
But
the
does the
question.
tournament matter?
Let me tell you, because I know we're going to talk about women's basketball in our next breakout segment. But Kim Mulkey of LSU mentioned the fact, like, the tournament only matters to the teams that need to punch their ticket into March.
Right.
So the regular season trophy, to most people, is like, this is the one we want to bring home and say we had the best team this season. The tournament is really like all-star games, what we were talking about yesterday. It's like, okay, cool, this is fun and all, and if you win, that's amazing. You get the MVP and things, but I don't know. That's a good toss-up.
And all the Big 12 teams are in the same city. It's just a fun
Atmosphere,
weekend atmosphere, all that.
Of the last national championship teams, the last 7 teams to win the national championship, only one has won their conference title, and that was Villanova in 2018. So, I mean, conference, like I said, conference tournament, it's a great weekend. You've got some unreal moments that come from that weekend that are cemented in history forever, and I understand the historical significance of that. But, I mean, at the end of the day, no one really cares you won your conference championship or not. It's whether you won the national championship or not.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair for sure. So college basketball divisions may need to take some looks at different tiebreakers, but when we come back, something that cannot end in a tie, the Big 12 tournament is starting today. And Maya, Liv, and Jackson break it down. Stay tuned.
From adversity, we rose. We made history and became pioneers, voyagers, champions, Jayhawks. And when our chant rises, haunting and hallowed, Jayhawks are telling the world what's near. Victory.
The Big 12 tournament starts tonight with 8-seed Kansas State taking on 9-seed West Virginia. But there is much more to the tournament than just the seeds. So Maya and Liv, what should we expect from the tournament?
Thank you, Caleb. Well, it's been a long season. We went from Big 12 Media Day in October. To now we're in our favorite month, March, about to do the Big 12 tournament and, of course, March Madness following that.
Right.
Now, if you've been making sure that you're up to date with our content at Playmakers KU, you know we like to have a good time at the games, in the press conference, all the above. So our breakout segment is going to be a little different.
Let's get into it.
All right, so first off, we have a game that we're calling 3 words or less. So Liv loves men's basketball, I love women's basketball. So I'm going to name a team. We're going to go 1 for 1. You have 15 seconds to describe the team in 3 words. And then 30 seconds to defend your claim.
Okay. Am I going first?
You can go first, that's fine.
Okay, we're going to start with women's basketball, Baylor.
Ooh, this is a tough one to start off with, but I'm going to say Nalissa Nikki and Queen. You got Nalissa Smith, who's Big 12 Player of the Year, amazing WNBA potential #1 draft pick. Nikki Cohen is her first time this season to be with Baylor, and let me tell you, she's a standout coach, which we'll get into later. And of course, got to end with Queen holding down the post. My pick for you, starting off, is West Virginia.
Okay, so I went a little different route. I didn't do players, but my 3 words are stool, grumpy, and song. Stool is because Bob Huggins sits on a stool, and he's, he may, for some people, he may seem a little grumpy on the grumpy side.
Okay.
And then the song, the West Virginia song, how does that go? It's like
West Virginia.
See, but when we did the 3 words or less, I think of a team, and then those are the first 3 things that come to my head. So that's why I picked those. Okay, next we have Iowa State for women's.
Ooh, okay. I'm going to say for West Virginia, for Iowa State. I'm going perimeter, shooter, and Donarski. Donarski was Defensive Player of the Year for Big 12. She's a killer no matter what team it is. Everyone know Iowa State, once they get hot on the perimeter, they're draining 3. So those are mine.
Those are like logical answers.
Thank you. Okay. Next, I'm going to give you OU.
Okay. OU. First I have, this isn't a word, but it's a phrase. Women's basketball upset for KU. I have for OU. And then I also have Baker Mayfield.
Okay.
Random. And then I also have Gavin Potter. It's linebacker out of KU, but he looks exactly like number 14 Bajan Cortez. So that's
okay.
It's just I had to compare. But next one for you, and the last one, Texas.
Ooh.
Because you're from Texas.
Texas. The Texas fight. Those are my 3 words. Everyone knows Vic Schaefer has been preaching this day in, day out. It's about the Texas fight. You either leave it all on the court and you take it into the next game, and that's the best way to describe that.
There you go.
Last one for you is going to be Texas Tech.
Okay, I have boring as of Lubbock, because anytime you talk about Texas, I feel like Lubbock is out of the Big 12, either Lubbock or Stillwater.
Okay.
Most boring. I want to say Lawrence is. And then I have Mahomes, obviously. And then I have crazy fans. A lot of the sportscasters actually have been saying that Texas Tech, their arena, may be the best college environment compared to Allen Fieldhouse, which everybody knows Allen Fieldhouse is the best college environment. But a lot of people have been saying Texas Tech, you see their fans at home games. They're crazy. They're doing, what's that called, where they're like?
Swag surf. Thank you to our floor director.
Which I think we should, in Allen Fieldhouse, we should be doing that too, along with Turbulence. But lastly, we're going to do KU, right?
Yeah, bonus round.
Okay. You go first. Mine aren't really, yeah, you just go.
All right. I feel like I have to say this one for KU, Chandler Prater effect. Everyone knows I'm a big Chandler Prater fan. She does what she has to do, and when she's on the court, she's a big leader off the court, and that's what's going to help them in this Big 12 tournament, is hopefully seeing her in the starting lineup and just doing what she does. So the Chandler Prater effect. What about you?
Okay, so I have a word and I have a phrase.
Okay.
And my word is macaroni, and that's because at 23rd Street Brewery they have the Bill Self, which we have at every single media meal for every single home game. So I have macaroni.
Okay.
And then my next phrase is America's Next Top Model for men's because of Ochai. But yeah, that's that. That's all we have for 3 words or less.
All right, so now let's get into breaking down the tournament. I'm going to let you start off. You were just talking about the Kansas Jayhawks, so let's talk about the Big 12 championship team.
Okay, so my final lists are going to be Kansas Jayhawks and the Baylor Bears, but this may not happen because of Friday, the semifinals. Most likely we'll have Kansas and Texas competing Friday, and then you'll have Baylor and Texas Tech. Which
that could be an upset.
I feel like that's going to be the upset, but I feel like Friday is going to be one of the best days ever in college basketball just because of these potential 4 teams. Texas Tech has beat Baylor twice this season. And so I could really see them upsetting them, or I could really see Baylor beating Texas Tech just because it's hard to beat a team 3 times. But I don't know. KU and Texas are 50-50, but I think, we're in the tournament. We're in KC. Kansas is going to come on top, so I think that those 2 teams are going to be in the finals Saturday.
All right, so for women's basketball, I have Baylor against Texas, kind of similar to that Baylor and Texas Tech semifinal roundup. But this is the thing. You got 2 new coaches. Vic Schaefer is his 2nd year in the Big 12. And like I said, he's strong in that Texas fight, and I think they could do it this year. But also Nikki Colin. She has a lot to prove coming after Kim Mulkey. And when you have Nalissa Smith on your team, it's kind of hard not to go ahead and win the championship team. But when they played back-to-back this year because of COVID and everything, Baylor won 63-75 for the first game, and the second game 55-65. But it's going to be a Texas showdown, so Maya Peterson loves a Texas showdown. For our quick players to watch at MVP, I got Nalissa Smith. I already talked about her. Player of the Year, WNBA potential draft pick. And then, of course, player to watch is going to be Rory Harmon, which is our freshman of the year. She knows what to do when she gets the ball. She's a tough competitor. Kay, you saw that. So this is going to be something interesting to watch this weekend.
All right, for men's basketball, obvious choice of the MVP, Ochai Agbaji, Big 12 Player of the Year, potential National Player of the Year, and he also is an All-American by the Sporting News. He stuck around for his senior year and developed his skills to new heights, averaging career best. He's just crazy athletic. But if we click over to the next one, when he pulled his red shirt, this was the first play out of pulling his red shirt right when he got into the game, was the infamous, iconic dunk that we always see in KU basketball. But for players to watch, I have Kevin McCullough out of Texas Tech. He's had many injuries, many setbacks this season, but he is that leader on that team. He has drive, passion, and he was a Naismith Defensive Player of the Year semifinalist, which they had 10 semifinalists for this award, and he was the only one in the Big 12 that got that award.
Well, we got a lot to talk about this weekend, so make sure that you guys just stay with us at Playmakers KU. But we have a freshman that has some pretty big picks for this year. Jackson Reed, take it away.
What's up, everybody? After the show, stay tuned to our social media at Good Morning Playmakers and at Playmakers KU. We're going to make sense of all this goodness. First of all, there's 9 this year. Oklahoma State not able to compete this year. We got all kinds of good games. Texas TCU in the second round. Baylor, Oklahoma, and then probably one of the more not exciting because it's going to be just a bunch of defense. Texas Tech and Iowa State. We'll make sense of all of this. I'll give you my picks. I'll give you my winner after the show, so stay tuned on Instagram at Good Morning Playmakers. We'll throw it over to Mr. Jenneret.
So as he said, stay tuned because at Good Morning Playmakers is going to have a lot of different segments after the show. But after the break, we make our way too early Final Four predictions.
Why doesn't my skin look like theirs? Why is my nose so big? I'm never gonna look like those girls.
The NCAA tournament has not even decided their final seeds, but we are going to take a look at who we think makes the Final Four with a new segment of Predict the Pick.
Dun, dun, dun.
All right, so who do you guys think is going to make the Final Four? We'll start in the men's side. Go ahead.
Who wants to go first?
You take it away.
All right, gotta go with Purdue. Love Jaden Ivey. Second one, I'm going with Houston. I gotta have a Cinderella team in there, and I think Houston, this might be their year to kind of make a statement and go crazy. Then Auburn. I've been talking about the coach. I love Auburn's coach and think that he can pull it through. And we know they couldn't be in the tournament last year, so they kind of have a lot to prove this year. And then I just wanted to give y'all a nice random pick because it is March. I got UConn because I don't want to put them on my women's side, so I made sure to put them on the men's side.
Oh my God.
Gotta show the love.
Yeah.
Well, I have Wisconsin and Kentucky, and then Baylor and Auburn.
What?
All right. So I went a little bit more in depth. So my first team, I'm going with Villanova. They're 10th in KenPom right now. They have the 6th best adjusted offense in all of Division I basketball,
Okay.
the 15th best strength of schedule, and when it comes down to it, they are the best free throw shooting team in the country. They shoot 87% as a team. Oral Roberts was the best free throw shooting team last year, and they were a 15 seed. They did some
All right.
damage. But look at their losses. I know you can say they have a lot of losses, but their losses include at UCLA, Purdue, at Baylor, at Marquette, at UConn. Those are 5 very tough matchups. But, this is a team that nobody's talking about right now. They have 4 double-digit scorers, and their 5th best scorer scores 9.7 points per game. So this team has almost 5 double-digit scorers. You're right where you want to be if you're Villanova. No one's really talking about Villanova. I think they can do some damage. Speaking of damage, wreck 'em, baby. Texas Tech.
wow.
They're 11th in KenPom. They host the best defense in America. 3.5 blocks per game for the Red Raiders, 8.2 steals per game. They pull down 36.8 rebounds per game. They have quality wins from top to bottom. They beat Baylor twice. They beat Kansas already. They beat Tennessee. They beat Texas, and they beat Iowa State. They also have 4 guys that score in double digits with their 5th best scorer scoring 9.8 points per game too. So this team can get downhill, and this team can score as well. My third team.
Can I add real quick?
Go
they
ahead.
make every single opponent feel uncomfortable. I feel
This
like.
is true.
No,
This
I'm
is
just-
true.
I'm agreeing
No,
with
I
you. I'm
agree.
agreeing
No, I
with
know.
you.
I agree. I
Texas
agree.
Tech, they're kind of scary.
It's a team I wouldn't want to play right
yeah,
now.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm going with the layup one just because I don't think no one else has thrown them in there yet. I'm throwing Gonzaga in there. They're the number 1 team in KenPom, the 2nd best offense in the country, the 6th best defense in the country. Gabe Daniels said that's an L pick. Just wait. 6.1 blocks per game. They run the 3rd fastest tempo in the country, so if a team can't slow down Gonzaga, they're going to be in a world of hurt. They have everybody in their starting 5 averages over 10.5 points per game. Gonzaga's, they will be the toughest out of this tournament. Gonzaga will be the hardest team to eliminate, but there's a reason why you play the games in March. So anything can happen. And my last team, I'm going to throw Kentucky in there. Oscar Tshiebwe is just unstoppable. There are only a handful of centers that can stop Oscar Tshiebwe. This is the 3rd best team in KenPom. They host the 3rd best offense. And I will say it, I think Ty Washington, Severe Wheeler is the best backcourt in the country. I love their backcourt, and I love their center. And all 5 of their starters score over 10 points per game as well. So if Kentucky can tighten things up on the defensive end, Gabe Daniels, so that's a W pick. So we'll take that when we can get it. But if they can tighten things up on the defensive end, Kentucky's a very dangerous team, and they're going to be a tough team to get out too.
Yeah.
Good picks,
So
Caleb.
my easiest pick was Gonzaga. I'm surprised Jackson was the only other one to pick that. Their bigs are
It's
playing
basic.
unreal, and they have plenty of star power to go along with that. Another pick I had was Arizona. They have a dominant inside presence with Christian Coloco, 12, 7, and 3 blocks a game. The guard play with Benedict Mathurin, 17, 5, and 2. I think they're ready for it. Purdue, complete team.
Thank you.
They're balanced. They got Jaden Ivey. When they hit their shots, they might be the best team in the country. And Villanova is another one I agree with Jackson on. Colin Gillespie is averaging 16 points per game, but he has the potential to score a lot more. Against Providence, he put down 33, Georgetown 28. Always one of the most balanced teams in the nation for Villanova, and they can shoot the 3. As a team, they're shooting 36%.
Oh, that's tough.
Wild. But now flipping over to the women's side.
Wait, real quick before we
Yeah,
do that.
go ahead.
Can I circle back on Purdue?
Yeah. Oh, no.
Can we have a quick moment?
Okay.
Camera thing right here.
No.
No.
We cannot have a moment.
Purdue has the 101st best defense in the country. You cannot get away with that in March Madness. It won't happen. I don't care if you can score. If you can't play defense, you're not going to win in March Madness. I'm sorry. If they play a team like, let me just throw hypotheticals out there.
Yeah.
South Dakota State, North Texas. Those are all games that Purdue will lose by 10.
Oh, I forgot about UNT.
Those are all games that Purdue will lose by 10 because they cannot play defense.
Look, I want to put an honorable
Now we
mention.
can switch over to women's.
Honorable mention
Attitude.
on UNT as well.
They
because-
won't make the Final Four.
Hey, honorable mention because it's March. And March is usually the color of green, and UNT is green, mean green. Come on now, put some respect on them.
I did a whole segment on
Everyone
them.
said the same thing about University of Houston the first year that they made it to the tournament and was surprised about their run. I'm not saying they're going to make the Final Four, but I do think UNT is a sleeper team that we need to watch out for. Anything can happen.
Back you up on that green thing. Baylor's green. Baylor's green too. I'm talking about last year. I'm talking about last year. Last year. Okay,
All right.
go on.
All right, now to women. Sorry.
Now to women's. Let's switch it over. What do you guys got?
Oh, I'll start? Okay,
Yeah,
well,
Go for it.
America's team, the UConn Huskies.
I have that with you.
Paige
America's team,
Beckers
but not #1 in the nation. Thank you.
Paige Beckers is phenomenal. You would never catch UConn dead losing their tournament.
Whoa.
Ahem.
But how many losses did they have on the season?
Doesn't matter.
Didn't
They're
they
still
lose
going
at
to the
home
Final
for the first
Four.
time in
They're
like
still going to the
150
Final
years?
Four.
Who put
Um,
these two
Who
next to each
loses?
other?
Who loses
I'm gonna
in
throw.
home game?
I'm gonna throw
In the
Louisville
Big
in there.
East.
Oh my
I'm gonna
goodness.
throw Louisville in there too.
I like that pick.
Just because it's March and I've been on this team. I said it on camera on this show and a couple other shows. Florida Gulf Coast, give me Dunk City. They're 30-2. Like, why not? And then I'll be the pander guy. I'll be the pander pick, and I'll pick South Carolina to be my last team in the Final Four.
Livy.
Okay, I have UConn, South Carolina, Louisville, and Stanford. And Louisville, I would have to agree with you, Jackson. They're just a dominating team. When you watch them play, they are fast and they are sweating and they can beat anybody down the court. Stanford, I just love Cameron. She's one of my favorite players. We had that on the last Playmakers show. I talked a little bit about her. And then the obvious one, UConn and South Carolina.
Do you want to go? You want me to?
I'll wrap it up. You probably got a lot to say. So.
Thank you. All right, so of course y'all know I'm going to have to pick South Carolina. You got the best coach right now, Don Staley, the National Player of the Year, Aaliyah Boston, for the simple fact that she's dominant on both ends. And if they have to play Stanford, I think Cameron Brink and Aaliyah Boston are going to be a great matchup, but Aaliyah Boston is going to win that because she has a little bit more strength in that post position. This is where I have to say that women's basketball finally has a little bit of politics moving into LSU and Baylor. I just feel like this is going to be an interesting matchup to see Kim Mulkey going against the players that she's been able to, I guess you could say, raise into stardom. And to see LSU versus Baylor is going to be a post game. It's going to be able to see Kayla Pointer do her thing and Kim Mulkey kind of show out that the Big 12 might not be the best conference in women's basketball, but the SEC is holding it down. And then my last pick, this is one that I'm really up in the air. I wanted to do an honorable mention, if that's okay. I'm going to say BYU. They got some tough players on this BYU team that no one saw to come into play, but BYU's doing their thing. But another one, for the simple fact that I had Purdue's Jaden Ivey. I don't know if y'all know this. Notre Dame's head coach, Coach Ivey, is Jaden Ivey's mother. And I feel like it would be a great story for both of them to be in this Final Four. And whether they come out on top or not, it's just a great one to talk about.
Yeah, for sure. So my Final Four, I agree with Maya a little bit. South Carolina, they've been the most dominant team all year, except for their loss to Kentucky. But we'll look past that.
We said
And
tournament.
Can't
We
imagine
said,
losing the
wait,
conference
we said
tournament.
conference tournament titles do not matter. We said that at the beginning of the show.
I said that in
Why are y'all
May.
gonna throw
I
that
said
in
that
my
in
Is
May.
face?
it, is it like against a
Oh,
lot of
no.
losing games? Is it against a lot of losing games?
Let me tell you,
mean-
Kentucky's going to get out anyway. UConn's going to be an upset. Just want y'all to know. But that's a different topic.
UConn's
All right,
getting
well,
upset.
my second team is Stanford. They're the hottest team in the nation after that South Carolina loss. They haven't lost since December, and they're a very balanced and fundamental team. UConn is my sleeper pick. It's not really a sleeper pick because it's UConn, but Paige, I think she's finally going to start hitting her stride, getting more minutes, and they might compete with South Carolina when fully healthy. Right now, not looking like it, but when fully healthy.
They're the best
And
team
my
in the
You
league.
last,
cannot be fully healthy in 3 weeks. Just want y'all to know that. That has not been proven.
my last pick is Iowa. Caitlin
Iowa or
Clark.
Iowa State? Okay, Iowa. Okay.
Caitlin Clark is that girl.
Does she have a team with her to make
They were the
that?
big. They were the
Actually,
Big
National
Ten
Player of the
champs.
Year.
No, she won't.
Caitlin Clark can't be stopped, and it's star power. March Madness is about star power.
Can't be stopped.
But
They have more losses.
Final
than South
question.
Carolina.
Go
Final
for it.
question. In the Wichita bracket, Louisville plays Baylor in the 1-2 matchup to go to the Final Four. Who do you have and why? Real quick.
I'm gonna say Baylor for this. Well,
I'm
actually,
gonna go with Louisville.
I'm actually gonna go with Louisville, even despite me saying Baylor will make it to the Final Four, because Louisville has, like you said, speed and they have dominance, while Baylor at that point might be a little bit burnt out with Alyssa Smith. But I gotta go with Baylor just because they're a strong team. But I don't know. That's a good
I would
question.
say
I'm just gonna say
Louisville.
I'm
Baylor.
gonna keep Louisville there.
I'm giving Baylor.
Hustlers.
So I cannot wait for this
Louisville,
tournament to
versus
start. But
Miami.
check out our Instagram at Good Morning Playmakers after the show for some extra segments, but also for details on how to sign up for our March Madness Challenge, which we will have a nice reward for the winner. But this is the last show before spring break, so there will be no show next Wednesday, but there will be some content on the Instagram. So without further ado, from our cast to you, have a great week.